Hey. All right, all right. Hi, everybody. And guess what? Yeah. Day two of a 5-day series, man. Oh, if you missed yesterday, boy, I think we're doing a replay. I'm not for sure, but if we maybe sweet talk Tiffany, you might be able to get her to run that one more time for yesterday. And then Saturday, we just ran it again today, Wednesday, on the session, kind of introducing to you, those of you, man, dealing with autism and going through, unfortunately, a divorce or either on the other side of the divorce and dealing either as a couple or on your own. Man, autism. Do I really have what it takes to raise my child? Well, hey, listen, we're going to remind you that you do. We're going to inform you that you do. We're going to let you know that you most definitely do. And more importantly, you don't have to do it by yourself. Right. Oh man. So today, yesterday we kicked off the ABCs of autism, and today we're going to talk about the B part of it, and she's going to outline some things in that space. And yesterday was all about just autism and some fundamental things, and man, some really cool things that you can pick up and put into play to help set the expectation, to help create the atmosphere, to help connect with your child in a way, man, that is going to be special to you. And you guess what? You don't have a big doctor bill to go along with it, right? Okay, so check it out. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Geoff Tyson, and I'm affectionately known as the Comeback King and host of Conversations with Geoff, who is sponsoring this program. And we are excited to be here and thank Comeback King Enterprises for making all of this stuff happen. And I want to tell you something, right? I'm going to challenge you as you're going through this message with us today. Just remember, look at life a little bit differently, right? I want you to take a mirror moment. That's right. Take a moment in your life, look in the mirror, and decide that I'm no longer going to let the comebacks be my roadblock. I'm no longer going to let the comebacks be the obstacles to keep me from getting where I need to be. I'm going to look at the comebacks as a lifestyle and not a limitation. And guess what? Dealing with autism and growing through this situation is all part of what we're talking about. So anyway, I'm going to be quiet. Let me get our guest up here today. And all I will ask you to do is share this information with your friends, oh man, and make sure you say hello to us. And if there's anything that we're missing or you'd like to see over these next few days, drop that in the comment section as well. All right. So hey, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. And if you all help me welcome to the stage one more time, my guest and expert Tiffany Coleman. What's up?
Hello.
Hey. What's happening? Happy Wednesday to you.
Happy Wednesday. Wonderful
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Wonderful Wednesday. I like that.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that. It is a wonderful day indeed. So anyhow, I'm trying not to delay too much because I know you got a lot to talk about, and we're going to squeeze it in there as quickly as possible. But thank you for showing up and brightening up the world and our presence today. So thank you.
Yes.
And I'm gonna turn it over to you. This is busy. What you got?
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of recap a little bit about autism. We learned about the age yesterday, just some of the things we might see, and some of the characteristics that we see in their behavior. So
Mhm.
what you may see is a lot of issues with executive functioning. You might see sensory issues. Those executive functioning issues that we see are in the areas of organization. They may be in the areas of time management, attention, all of those things that we do every day that we think nothing of it. But for individuals with disabilities, a lot of times that is a barrier for them. So things like troubleshooting, um, talking with others, talking with their peers. You might see what we call as parallel play. So you might have a kid that they may be in the room with other people, other kids, but they're really not engaging. So those are the things we kind of want to look at and say, okay, if I'm seeing these things, I want to make sure that I say something to my practitioner. I want to get as much information. One thing I suggest is a lot of times we don't think that we can take things into our own hands, but how we
Yeah.
can do that is when we see these behaviors, think about taking a picture. We have a phone in our hand. Take video so that you can go back to your practitioner and say, this is what I'm seeing. What do you think about this? And then work collectively to come up with a plan of action. The other thing we might see is a lot of sensory issues. You'll see them maybe biting on something, maybe a child who, I know a lot of us grew up sucking our thumb. but they may pull their hair. Trichotillomania is what that's called, is they'll begin to, maybe might start with them just kind of twirling their hair, but
Yeah.
then they start to really pull it out. Or you might see, in more severe cases, you might see that they're scratching themselves or biting themselves or doing something that's a little bit out of the norm. So when you start to see those things, we want to address it. So we're talking about the A's, the B's, and the C's, the foundations of what is autism, what does it look like, and where do we go from there?
Yeah. So Tiffany, as I'm listening to you talk, when they're doing that, is it a reaction to something, or have you found it to be just part of the behavior cycle that they go through?
It can just be part of the behavior cycle. Again, a lot of times they may have what's called mixed expressive receptive disorder. So they may not be able to express themselves. Let's say they're tired, or you think about a baby when they're first born. They're not able to speak. So what do? They cry. So that's kind of their way of crying to the world.
Mm. So, and it could be sudden, it could be brought on, obviously, like I just asked about, but pay attention to that. And now here's the thing, right? I mean, oftentimes it doesn't come up in the most perfect situation,
Yes.
perfect environment. So, and I know parents have probably reacted and maybe put a wall up or created a wedge, or there's some hesitation now around the child. Any way you can help, kind of go back and try to reset that, or is it
Yes.
something that you don't do the next time? Is how do you address that?
So the first thing you want to do is really just observe the behavior. Don't let it frighten you. Don't react, impulsively. Understand that that is how they communicate. And so, again, just as a baby, you wouldn't take a baby and spank them because they're crying. You would learn how to adapt and figure out, okay, well, let me try this. Let me see if this helps. So that's what we want to help teach within this community, is how do I deal with those behaviors? How do I start early to help them along this journey? Because it's a journey not only for the child or the person with the disability, but also the family as a whole.
Yeah. And that journey it's interesting, and it's not always an easy journey.
No.
And we talk because we're kind of blending in the whole area also around going through divorce and finding yourself at odds with your partner now, and you have all of that going on, and now you have the opportunity, I call it an opportunity, to raise your children in that craziness. Have they done any studies on why? I mean, because the percentage-wise is high on how marriages end and divorce and relationships are over. And have they done any studies as to some things that people can kind of recognize or avoid before they get to that point? Or should we look at that information more?
So what we see is about, I believe the figures are about 85 to 87% of those who are in a relationship, let's say a marriage, a domestic partnership, once the child or the person in the household has the disability, they've been diagnosed maybe or not, you see a breakdown in families. And so what we want to do is try to create a structure or a support to kind of help that from happening. I like that you use the term divorce. And so when we're talking about the behavior versus the child, one thing I have learned is to divorce yourself from the behavior and understand that, hey, this is a symptom of this disorder. It is not personal. And I think that if people can glean that and understand, don't take everything personal. Understand it is part of the journey that you are going through, and you were built for this.
Yeah. But again, I hear you saying all that, but then sometimes it's that and them hold in denial.
Yes.
Right. And kind of like, it's embarrassment to even talk about with people. So, I mean.
Yeah. And and I'm glad you brought that up, because I say denial is not just a river. It is a place and a space.
It is a place and a space, yes.
that we often end up at. Because as parents, you have expectations and you have these goals and these dreams. And what happens when all of a sudden the rug's been pulled from under you? You know, that's where you start to see the breakdown of families. You start to see one parent pitted against the other, one that says, you know what, I'm going to take this and look at this head on, and I'm going to begin to do what I can, while another may be that ostrich with their head in the sand that says, you know what, they'll grow out of it, it'll get better. No. And each person is on their own journey, but together collectively, you have to do what is best for your child. It doesn't matter about your ego, what you think the world thinks. You have to, again, be that greatest advocate for your child.
Yeah. And sometimes, I just imagine a tug of war going on around
Yes.
who's doing what and no responsibilities. And say you end up by yourself.
Yes.
And how you found out. I like to talk about that on a regular because of the percentage, right, of divorces that we're talking about and breakups that we're finding in this space, and just how often people end up in the space that you found yourself in.
Yes, yes, yes. And that's the thing, is that you have to understand that, you know, it is a gift. It's a
Yeah.
gift that sometimes some people want to give back. But
Yeah.
but somebody's got to stick around. Somebody's got to be that voice and be
Yeah.
that person that says, you know what, I may not understand what I'm going through, but I know that I have to be here and I have to be that foundation, and I can't stay in that stage of denial forever. You know,
Yeah.
give yourself the grace to learn and to grow and say, you know what? It's okay. I'm here right now. What can I do? How do I problem solve? I know out in business, you have what's called a decision tree. So we
Yeah.
have to begin to create decision trees and say, you know what? It's Christmas. This is the gift I've been given. So now
Right.
I'm going to unwrap it. I'm not going to send it away. You're not going to take it back to the store. You are
Yeah.
going to unwrap it, and you're going to say, you know what? This is the gift I have. Now, how does God want me to utilize this gift?
Yeah. And how old do the children have to be able to participate in that unwrapping? You know what I mean? Do you remember how it was for you and your sons? But did you guys do a certain age or what?
So again, it took about 8 years for me to get a proper diagnosis. And in that time, in the meantime, in between time, what I did is I again made that decision tree and said, you know what is it that I can control? What is it that I can do? What can I do in my home? How do I advocate out in the educational community? And how do I, in the community, find a support system to help me through this? You know, no man is an island in and of himself, you know.
Right.
And so we have to understand that the first response is typically to isolate, but we don't want to do that. You want to find someone to come stand alongside you.
Yeah. And there's organizations out there and resources available, and I believe at some point we may even provide access for folks
Yes.
in the community where they'll be fed, right, and on a regular basis, and given a lot more direction on that one. So I'm just looking at my notes here just to make sure that I haven't missed anything. Or do you need any more time to kind of bring them up to speed from where we've been, and to talk about the B some more? Or
So I want to get to the B. We kind of talked about autism, what it is, what it looks like, how we kind of take the voyage through the journey of autism, how we look at it from the standpoint of it being a gift, and it's Christmas. And so now, how am I going to utilize this gift that God gave me? So one thing I want to talk about is the B today. Yesterday, we went over the A is for autism. B is for behavioral modifications. And so what I want to talk about is, what can you do right now? One thing that a lot of people utilize is therapeutic care or therapeutic options. And so one that is highly sought after is what's called ABA therapy. That is applied behavioral analysis, where they look at the behaviors that we see. One of the behaviors you may see is styming, or you'll see a child that has a lot of sensory issues. Another one is echolalia. That's where they will repeat things that they've heard. It's not that they necessarily understand it, but they will repeat it. You will hear them, let's say they watch SpongeBob, and whatever SpongeBob says, they continue to repeat that. That is what's called echolalia. So when you start to see those behaviors, what you want to do is you want to be as proactive as possible. And so what you want to do is, if you can afford, and a lot of times the ABA therapy, the cons of it is that it is costly. Sometimes some insurances pay for it, sometimes they don't. The other thing is the wait list can be long. So in the meantime, in between time, what I want to share with your audience today is some practical steps that you can take within your own home. So behavior, we always want to modify behavior. We all have dealt with behavior modifications in our life, whether it be in society, there are parameters put in place.
Yes.
But when we put a fancy word on it, people are like, what is that? But if I can just start, the first thing is you want to be able to communicate with your child.
Yeah.
Figure out what is the best way to communicate with them. For some kids that may not be verbal, it might be a visual schedule, something that they can look at. They can say, if they can't speak, if they want something to eat, put their pictures of their favorite items. Start small, even if it's just they love chicken nuggets and French fries. Put a picture up on the refrigerator so that they can point to it and use that as your means of communication.
Yeah. So you really got to be paying attention, though. I mean, you can't. So I mean, if you're already full of work all day, you come home and you're tired, and then you get the opportunity to pour into your children. Man, how did you do it? How did you stay gassed up enough to do what you do and end up where you are?
Well, I'm just going to be very transparent. It was not easy. There were some days I cried a lot. It was like, okay, is this really going to work? I had to learn my children. One of my sons, when I would take him to daycare, he would start crying and he would not eat their food. And so one day I was like, I think I figured out what it is. They would cut the items in half. In his mind, that meant it was broken. Eat it. So you have to pick up on those small cues by learning your child. You can't just send them off and say, oh, somebody else figure that out. If you learn what they need, then you can provide what they need and minimize the breakdowns that you're going to see.
So how in the world did you determine that was the issue? Was it something you've seen before? I mean, or just because you've been so in tune along the way?
Well, no, I really had to sit and study and watch. And not just, this day and age, we just kind of throw kids over and give them an iPad or whatever, and that's it. I had to learn what it was my children needed, how they communicated. I always love the book by Gary Chapman, The 5 Love Languages. And a lot of times we think about that book in terms of relationships, but I had to start to view it in the viewpoint of my children. What was their love language? I had one kid that if we went to the dollar store, he was like, I want the dollar store item. And I was like, you don't need that. But for him, it was a sense of security. And that's how he learned love, that mommy loves him that way. I have another kid that's like, I don't be bothered with that. But he was a hugger. So I had to reward them, not with material things per se, but what they needed. I call it, but I always say it this way. It's like filling their bucket.
Yeah.
It is like in banking, you can't go and withdraw money from somebody you haven't put any money in.
Right.
So you have to not leave them bankrupt in terms of even their communication.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. This is really powerful stuff you're talking about here, and really it's a measure of commitment to what you're saying. I mean, you're talking about understanding all about autism, and then the behavioral modifications and some of the things that you're talking about to do that, to recognize communication, verbal, nonverbal, and really studying that. Is there anything other that you haven't really talked about? Because I want to make sure we get to anything else that you might have. These are really useful things already. Thank you.
Yes.
Is there anything before you kind of start to wrap it up for us
Yeah.
today that you want to finish up in this
Yeah.
space?
The next part of that behavioral modification is creating a routine. Make sure that you that the child knows what is happening, what the expectations are. That goes into the next part. Again, setting expectations, being consistent and following through. The behavioral modification is not just for the child or the person with a disability. And that's the part that is so hard for parents to understand. It requires you. It requires some sacrifice on your end. You have to be disciplined, not just the child. And that is so important. And then acknowledge your child for complying with what you've asked. Whether that is creating some type of reward system. I used to have like a little treasure chest. It would have all maybe fidgets or things that they liked, or they would earn a reward. They would have a system, where we would check off each day. Well, did they have great behavior at school? Did they come in and sit for 20 minutes and do their homework or whatever? Make it fun. Make it inclusive. Let them be the leaders in that.
Yeah. Empowering them is what I'm hearing you say.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I can imagine how that would make them feel when overall their whole day is a battle.
Yes.
Right. And if it's getting reinforced away from home with negativity,
yes,
right, it's kind of hard to stand strong and tall. But when you can do that, man, it makes a difference because our identity begins to shift to something more positive
yes,
by doing that versus the weight they carry as.
yes,
That's
and
good stuff.
teaching them that they get to be the leader. They get to make decisions because at whatever level they are, they can make a decision. And it's okay. I used to have to teach my sons, it's okay to say, I don't know. I don't, if you don't know, that's fine. That's what I'm here for. So, and I used to say it this way, I am your coach. You the player. I'm the coach.
Wow.
So that was so important to me.
Yeah, because when you put the team concept in, we all want to be part of something. We all want to be recognized for things.
Yes.
Yeah, man, this is really good. So your routines, acknowledge. Is there anything else in this piece of it that you have?
Again, make sure you set expectations and boundaries, and then that you acknowledge the child. Acknowledge what they've done, how far they've come. If they learn, they're learning their ABCs, and they got A and B. Well, and then today they got C. Acknowledge that. Praise them. Include them and say, what are we going to do? Do we want to go to the park? What, you've earned this. So just acknowledge even yourself as a parent and look at the things that you've done, where you've come from. Don't look for the huge miracles. Sometimes look for the small ones.
Yeah. And it's all about stacking the small celebrations, right?
That's right.
We all want to have the big reward, but man, if you learn to just take the little pieces and start to celebrate it and stack it, right? I mean, it's a whole nother identity, a whole nother vision of who you see yourself, and the whole energy changes and everything else. So, okay, so I'm sure we'll have the opportunity in the upcoming. You still guys kind of penciled in for a workshop on Saturday, right? So we'll dive in some of this other stuff, and we have tomorrow to go through the C, and then Friday. What do you want to say in this last minute to kind of summarize things, or that we may not have given you time to say?
I just want to say, stay consistent, stay disciplined, and know that you have everything inside you to be your child's best teacher. You are your child's first teacher. It doesn't matter if they're sent off to school or you're homeschooling or whatever. You are their best advocate, their best teacher. You know your child. You should be an expert in your child, not the experts. You should be the expert. So you should know what is needed, and then ask for your community, your practitioners, to assist you in making sure that you create the best environment for your child.
Yeah, Tiffany. But I gotta say, for that embattered mom or dad, that's really kind of on the other side. I know we're saying they should be.
Yes.
But what can you impart on them today to help lift their head and their spirit? You know.
What I can say is this: just remain consistent. Even if it's just 1 minute, 1 day at a time, know that if you just start with a small step, we're not asking you to do big things, a small step, and know that this too shall pass. You will get over the hump. There's a verse that says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. You are walking through it. You're not going to be stuck here forever. Because I remember those days when my guys were little, and I was like, I will never get to them being a teenager. And now it was like time just went so quickly. So remember that taking it day by day by day, you will begin to see your child emerge. And just know that you have to give yourself grace for each and every day. And you can do it. If I can do it, believe me, I might have a smile on my face today, but there's been many days that I cried. There's been many days that I felt isolated and alone and in despair, and I didn't know what the future was going to look like. But I can assure you that if you just do all that you can do, that is the best thing for your child.
Yeah. That's beautiful. What I hear you saying is put the bat down in that process too. Stop beating yourself up,
That's
and
right.
and show some grace. And man, what a difference that will
Yeah.
bring. You know, it's been effective for me too. So I love that. So hey, listen, it's that time again. You know, I want to thank you so much for showing up again today. And so tomorrow we have A, B, and then C, right? And the C stands for what? So people can kind of get ready for it.
They have got to tune in to find out what the C is,
I
because
would
we
tell.
are building. We're on our
Yeah,
blocks. And so we want
yeah,
to make sure that you get a strong foundation, and we begin to build from there. Because as we build strong homes, we build strong individuals, we build strong communities.
yeah. No, I love that. And I don't know y'all, so don't ask me. So I mean, I might. I don't keep a secret well, so if I knew, you probably could get it out of me. But just show up tomorrow, like she said. And Tiffany, thank you. Tomorrow, what time is that going to be? Is it 6? 5:30?
5:30, 5:30
Okay,
tomorrow, 5:30 Eastern time.
5:30 Eastern time tomorrow. So we're excited to be here, and we want to thank you. And if there's any delay, what could it be? 5:30 Eastern time, 6 window. I mean, I think there might be something that I may have that may be
Yes.
holding us up to confirm that. So we'll do our best to kind of keep people informed. Just carve out that time. It's going to be another 25 minutes or so. Tiffany, thank you so much. I mean, I'm sneaking over here and writing stuff down as we talk. So it's great to learn so many different things from you and so many practical situations. So thank you.
Yes.
And we will see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So as we wrap this thing up, there's a couple things in the comment section. First of all, thank Tiffany when you hear this replay and you go through that. And if you're here and you know, Facebook or YouTube somewhere we don't see you, we want to acknowledge you but the best way we can. So make sure you connect with us. And if you want to get a hold of Tiffany and schedule an appointment, My calendar link is in there, and you can certainly do that. Put a note in there to see Tiffany, and we'll make that happen. And then if you're looking for a community that's focused on going from heartbreak to healing, right, and pathways to extraordinary love for self-love, and going through a divorce and battling with your child and divorce and all the other painful things that are tied to that, we want you to know that there is a location that you can find some relief, find some peace, and regain the hope. Because remember, we believe, and the community is built off of this too, that we need to see the comebacks as a lifestyle that builds strength, that builds courage, that builds hope in our lives when the things feel the heaviest, and no more of the limitation. So in Comeback King community, we like to say, listen, let's rise together, and your comeback starts right now. So we will see y'all tomorrow. Have a great day. And again, if you need a place to land, click out. Look at the app for joining the community, and then also if you need an appointment, which we encourage you to do that. And if you just want us to reach out to you, drop drop C in their comment section, and we will reach out with you there. Right? C is comment. Right? Please just a letter C in there, and y'all have a good day. We will see you tomorrow. Take care. Thanks again, Tiffany, for a great show.